Hello and welcome to another in this series of tutorials for Excel beginners. In part 6 we're going to be looking at formatting and we'll complete this spreadsheet we've been working on so far. What I'll do, I'll start from the top and work down with the formatting, and you'll see as we go through the different types of formatting you can apply to your spreadsheet and how easy it is to do. The first thing I want to do with this particular spreadsheet is make the title go across all the columns. What I mean by that is I want it centered at the top of the spreadsheet rather than stuck over on the left or the right, or however might do it. Sometimes what people try and do is they'll say, oh well, I want to center it, so instead of having a column A I might move it across to column B, see how that looks. But all you need to do really is use one of Excel's ingenious functions, merge and center. And to use that we just select all the columns we want the title to go across and click on the merge and center button there. So click on that and that merges those four cells, centers your title. Now then, I want to make some modification to this as well. I'm going to change the actual font size, and to do that I just click on the little drop down button there and we'll get all the font sizes. I'll just increase it. As you can see it's 10 at the moment. I'll just increase it to 14. There we go, it just makes it stand out a bit more as a title. I'm also going to make the titles in row 2 stand out a bit more, and I'm going to first of all select all those and make them bold. There we go, so they stand out as column headers now. I also want to modify the way the titles are displayed. As you can see in column B, rental price has been cut off, so it just says rental PR at the moment. You can just about see the I, and I don't want that to happen. I want the column widths to stay the same, but I want all the text to show, and to do that I go to the format menu, choose cells, and in this dialog box we have a number of tabs, and what I need to do is click on the alignment tab there. Now in the alignment tab you've got a number of choices, but in this case I'm just going to select wrap text first of all, and you'll see what happens when I do that. Click OK, and once I do that you can see if I just click away, what's happened is the row has become a bit wider, and the reason for that is the rental price is now taking up 2 lines instead of 1. So Excel has wrapped the text around onto a new line. I'm also going to do a little bit more modification on that. If I select those 4 cells again, go back to format, choose cells. Now I want that text to be aligned in the center of both the vertical and horizontal axes. And so if I go to my dialog box again, make sure alignment selected. On the horizontal drop down box, choose center, and on the vertical drop down box also choose center and click OK, and you'll see that centers the text vertically and horizontally, so it's bang in the middle of the cell, which is just what I wanted. Okay, let's move down then to the main spreadsheet. Now I don't want to do too much formatting here, but the only issue possibly is, as you see, when I formatted these cells for currency, I put the currency symbol next to the number. The only thing you might consider doing, and I will change it here, is to change to accounting format, and what that does, it positions the currency symbol on the left of the cell and the currency value on the right of the cell, so there's a gap between the currency symbol and the actual value, depending on the width of the column obviously. And I'll just illustrate that. If I just select all the values in rental price, I can use the currency button, but I'll just show you the menu option instead here. If I go to format cells, go to number tab, and this time select accounting in the category column, and make sure that the sample is exactly what you want. Now the odd thing here is it doesn't really show you what you're going to get, and I'll just illustrate that when I click OK. You see here in the sample the currency symbol is actually next to the number. That isn't what will happen when I click OK, as you will see. So if I click OK, the currency symbol jumps to the left of the column and the number is now over on the right, which is what I want to happen. It just sometimes looks a bit neater, but the option is yours depending on what you want to do. So I'll do the same thing in the income column, select those values there, go to format cells, select accounting, check that the symbol looks okay with the number of decimal places and the symbol is okay, click OK there, and again that aligns the currency symbols down the left and the values down the right. And I can actually apply that formatting to the rest of my spreadsheet. If I select any one of these values that's already got the formatting on, so just pick one at random, I can then use the Format Painter tool Now if I double click on the Format Painter tool, which I have done there, that will lock it, it'll switch it on and leave it on, so I can now come down to the currency values for average, maximum and minimum and just select those three. That'll apply that formatting. And as you see, the little painter brush is still next to my mouse pointer, which means that the Format Painter is still switched on. And I can then select the 4 cells in column D for total, average, maximum, minimum, release the mouse button, and it applies the same formatting there as well. That's exactly what I want. To switch off the Format Painter, I can either click the button again, or I can press the escape key. So in this case, I'll just click the button again, and that switches off the Format Painter. Okay, so what we're going to have so far, we have the spreadsheet looking a bit nicer. We have the rental values all nice and centered. I'm quite happy with that. We've got the pricing or the currency values all formatted correctly as I want. And what I'm going to do now, I'll tell you what, just apply bold formatting to these labels here as well. So just select those values there, or those labels. Click on the B for bold, and that tidies those up. So the next thing I'm going to do is apply the color formatting. Okay, now when it comes to colors, there's all sorts of things you can do, obviously. The temptation is to color your spreadsheet in sort of a Technicolor style and all sorts of weird and wonderful colors, but this is where you have to consider who will be looking at the spreadsheet, what those colors mean, and are you going to print the spreadsheet or will it just be a screen display? And you have to consider things like contrast as well. So if you have too dark colors for text and background, then it doesn't print so well. I'll just go through and show you some examples of what I mean. Now, I'll show you a little trick here when it comes to applying background cell colors. If you come over to the fill color option, you see, by the way, the border, fill color and font color options are over on the right hand side of the format toolbar. If you click on that drop down arrow there, it opens up the color palette. Now, little trick you can use, there's a thin bar at the top of that color palette, and as you see, it pops up a little tooltip to say drag to make this menu float, which Microsoft, what they mean by that is if you click and drag, you can then drag your color palette onto the screen and it stays on, which is fantastic. What that means is we can experiment then, we can try different colors out without having to go backwards and forwards and clicking the drop down arrow. So I'll show you some examples of what I mean about choosing the right colors. I'll just first of all colour in my Fred's Video Classics title, and so I'm going to select that, and I want it to be a pale green, and I'm happy with the black text. Now next I will select the titles or the column headings in row 2, and let's say I wanted something like a dark blue for that background. There we go. Now there's a problem there. If I just click away, you'll see that straight away that the black isn't really showing up well on the dark blue. So what I might, on the screen it's okay, you can read it, but if I printed that it becomes a problem. The contrast might be such that it's difficult to read the title on the background. So instead really I need a lighter background colour, and what I'll choose here is actually the grey colour, so I'll just reselect those cells. As you can see, it's nice that I don't have to go back to the drop down menu, I can simply choose another colour. In fact, I might actually choose this blue here, this light turquoise. There we go. That's actually a lot better. It looks good on the screen, and when I print that as well, the contrast will be perfectly fine, so people will be able to read it. And if I print in black and white, the background will simply show as a light grey, which is fine. Okay, now, as far as the main sheet's concerned, I'm not too bothered about formatting with the colours. The only thing I might do here is just highlight these 2 total values and put a light green on that as well, and that'll do, I think, for background cell colour. Obviously you can experiment, it will, but you see now where the colours are, how to get them on the screen. Now once I'm finished with the fill colour, I can simply close that little dialog by clicking the X there, and that closes that down. That concludes this part of the formatting tutorial. If you'd like to go and have a look at tutorial number 7, we'll conclude the formatting on this spreadsheet and introduce a few other things, including conditional formatting. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.